Hi, this is Ms. Ray Stokes, and I'm going to talk to you about distance in the coordinate plane. If you are doing your interactive notebook, this covers pages 25 and 26 on the next page. So today we're going to talk about distance in the coordinate plane. So when you're talking about number one, points are located in reference or line up with the x-axis and the y-axis. Ordered pairs are always named X and then Y, just like the alphabet. The X goes first and then Y comes after that. Number three, we can find the length and then in parentheses distance of a horizontal or vertical line on the coordinate plane. The one way you can find the length is by plotting the points, drawing the line, and counting the spaces to find the length. So on the bottom half of this, after the notes you've finished, I'm going to get a little closer so you can see the coordinate plane. It has some practice right here. So what we're going to do is plot 2 points, and then we're going to count the spaces to find the distance. So this is kind of a two-part problem. So the first part is to find 4, 2. So you start at the origin, you go over to positive 4, and then you're going to go up to positive 2. And this is your first point. Then you're going to do the next point, which is positive 6. So you start at the origin, you go over to positive 6, and then up to positive 2. Now we're going to count the distance between the 2 points. So I'm going to draw a line to connect them. And then I'm just going to count how many units that it takes to get from one to the other. So 1, 2 units. So I'm going to put that here, 2 units. And you have to write units because it has to have some kind of clarification of what it is. 2 can be anything. So if you just put 2, that's incorrect. It needs to be 2 units, or if we said that these were yards or feet, whatever the measurement is, you have to kind of write what the measurement is. So we're going to measure in units today. So we're going to put 2 units. All right, let's go on to number 2. So you have -5, 3. So start at the origin, go over to -5, and go up to positive 3. And then the next one is -5, -1. So go over to 0 to the origin, go over to -5, and then go down to -1. And then you draw your line, and we're going to count the units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units. And if you notice on number 1 and number 2, and you'll see this with the rest of them, they all share one coordinate that's the same. So the y coordinate is the same for number 1. The x coordinate is the same for number 2. So you'll see that because you have to draw, it'll have to be a straight line. That's how you count the distance. So let's go on. Number 3, +5, +1. Go to +5, go up to +1. Okay. Next, +5, -4. So go to the origin, +5, and then go down to -4, which is here. Now we're going to connect those 2 points, and we're going to count the distance. Oh, my light went off. Let's see. Okay, so you have, start at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units. Okay, number 4, we're going to start at the origin, and then we're going to find -6. So origin over to -6, and then we're going to go down to -2. Then we're going to go +3, start at the origin, go to +3, and then we're going to go down to -2. And then we're going to connect the 2 points with the line. Now we're going to just count the units in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 units. Number 5, we're going to start at the origin, go to -1. I'm sorry, -1. You always do the x-axis first. -1, and then you're going to go up to +4. Last one, -6. So start at the origin, go to -6, and then up to +4. Then we're going to connect the the 2 points by one line and count the units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units. Okay, so that's it for this page. So we're going to turn the page, and we're going to go to, it'll say guided lesson, distance between points. This is page 26. Okay, so for this one, you're going to just continue doing the things that we were supposed to do for the others, like the other side, but this way I'm going to show you a different technique. So you're still counting the distance, but instead of doing a coordinate plane and counting the lines or the points, I'm going to show you how to use your absolute values to figure it out, because sometimes they won't give you a coordinate plane, so it'll just look like this, and you'll have to figure out the distance. Well, there's another technique of how you solve this without using a coordinate plane and counting. So we're going to do plot and label. So the first thing you have is A and B, plots A and points A and point B. So I'm going to plot these and label them. We're going to count the units like we did on the first page, but then to check it, I'm going to show you how to use your absolute values to check to make sure that we have the correct answer. All right, so let's get started. 2, 1, so +2, +1. Start at the origin, +2, and then up to +1 here, and that's A. Okay, and then you're going to go to 6, so start at the origin, go to +6, and go up to +1, and this one is B. And then we're going to connect, and then this time we'll just count the lines, so count the points. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 units is the answer for this one. I'm going to write it right here, 4 units. But let's check it right here. So when the 2 points are in the same quadrant, like this one, you're going to subtract their absolute values. So we're going to do that in this box here. So the absolute values are the distance. The number is between 0 and the number on the horizontal or vertical number line. So the absolute value for 2 is just 2, because there's 2 units from 0. And you write it with these 2 long lines, and you just put like that. So the absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of 6 is 6, because it's 6 units away from 0. Now, the y coordinates are the same, so you don't have to think about those. Go ahead and cross those out. We're only looking at the 2 that are different. So we have the absolute value of 6 and the absolute value of 2. So we're going to come over here and we're going to subtract those values from each other. So the absolute value of 6 minus the absolute value of 2 is 6 minus 2, because 6 is the absolute value of 6. 2 is the absolute value of 2. 6 minus 2 is 4 units. And that was correct. Now let's go on to number 2. You're going to have +3, -2. So go over the origin, +3, -2, which is here. And then you have D, which is +3, -5 here. C and D. We're going to connect it. So I can see if I just count on the coordinate plane, I have 1, 2, 3 units in between the 2 points, but I'm going to check it with the absolute value. So the 2 numbers that are the same, we're crossing out. That's going to be our x coordinate. Those are the exact same, so we don't have to worry about those. So let's look at the absolute value of -2 and the absolute value of -5. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. They're in the same quadrant, so we subtract. All right, the absolute value of -5 is 5 because it takes 5 units to get from 0 to -5 on a number line. So I'm just going to bring that down. And then the absolute value of -2 is 2 because it takes 2 units to get from 0 to -2 on the number line. And now I just subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3 units, which is correct because it matches. All right, let's keep going. So if you're confused, that's okay. It just takes a little bit to practice because you're bringing in absolute values, you're bringing in plotting and distance, and there's a lot of things going on here. So just bear with me. If you're still trying to get it, let's keep working on it. All right, so now we're going to look at E and F. So you have -3. So I'm going to start at my origin, go to the left for -3, and we're going to go up 1 for +1, and that one is E. And then we have -3, +3, and that's F. So I'm going to draw my line, and I'm going to count. So I have 1, 2, 2 units from E to F. Now I'm going to check it with my absolute value. So the first thing I'm going to do is cross out the ones that are the exact same, which are my X coordinates. And I'm just going to look at my Y coordinates. So I have the absolute value of 1 and the absolute value of 3. So the absolute value of 3 is 3, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. So now I just subtract 3 minus 1, and I get 2 units, which is correct. All right, last, number 4. We have G, which is -6. So start at your origin, go over to -6, and go down to -5. And that's G. Then you have H, -1, -5. Okay, draw a line to connect. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in between. So I'm going to put the number 5. And now I'm going to check it with my absolute values. So my X's are different, so I'm going to cross out my Y's because those are the same. So I have the absolute value of -6 and the absolute value of -1. So I'm going to rewrite those over here. Absolute value of -6 minus the absolute value of -1. The absolute value of -6 is 6. It takes 6 units to get to 0. The absolute value of -1 is 1. Absolute value, remember, is always positive. So that's why we rewrite it, because they're always positive. 6 minus 1 is 5 units. And that is correct. Now, the next section, when you have 2 points that are in different quadrants, you're going to add their absolute values. So these are some things that, that will help you remember. So whenever you plot them and you see, oh, wait, now I have a point over here, and then I have another point over here, quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, I need to add their absolute values. But like up here, when they're both in the same quadrant, quadrant 3, you're going to subtract. So that's sort of a good way to remember if you're going to subtract or add. So let's get started with number 5. Number 5, you have I. So we're going to do -2, -4. Start at your origin, go to the left for -2, down to -4, and that is I. J is +5, -4. Start at the origin, go to +5, down to -4, and you have J. Now, I'm going to draw a line to connect the two, and we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. Okay. Now, let's check it by using our addition. So which of the coordinates are the exact same? Well, this time it's the Y coordinates. We're going to cross those out, and then we're going to rewrite the absolute values for these. Now, I'm going to come over here, rewrite them. I have the absolute value of -2, and I have +5, the absolute value of +5. I'm going to add those two together because they're in different quadrants. So the absolute value of -2 is 2 plus the absolute value of 5, which is 5. 2 plus 5 is 7 units. And that's correct. All right, so this is part 2 of lesson 13. So I'm going to continue on with number 6. So I have K and L, and I went ahead and plotted those on the paper here, and I drew a line. So we had -6, +5 is where we found K, +6, +5 is where we found L, and we drew and then just connected them with a line. So now I'm going to count on the coordinate plane to see the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 units. Now I'm going to check it using my absolute value. So for K and L, they share the common Y coordinates. I'm going to cross those out. So I have -6, so I'm going to do the absolute value of -6 and the absolute value of +6. So I'm going to rewrite that here. The absolute value of -6 plus, because they're in two different quadrants, the absolute value of +6. So those absolute values are 6. It takes 6 units to get from -6 to 0 and +6 to 0. Add those together and you get 12 units, which is correct. All right, number 7, we have M, which is -6, +3. So start the origin, go to -6, and then go up to +3 here. And that one is M. Then you have N, which is -6, -5. And that's N. Draw a line to connect, and then we just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. Now we'll check it using our absolute values. So the identical coordinate for this one is the X coordinate. So I'm going to cross that out, and we're going to just look at our Y coordinates. So we have the absolute value of +3 and the absolute value of -5. I'm going to rewrite that. The absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -5 is 5. Add those together and you get 8 units, which is correct. All right, last one. We have O and P. So +3, +4. Start at the origin, +3, +4. That's O. And then we have P, which is +3, -7. So it's going to be all the way down here. And that's P. And then we're just going to draw our line. All right, and then we're just going to count the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 is our answer for that one. So now let's check it with our absolute values. So the identical coordinate this time is our X coordinate, so I'm going to cross that out. So I have an absolute value of +4, absolute value of -7, and remember we're adding them because they're in two different quadrants, 1 and 4. So we're going to add these two together. So the absolute value of 4 is 4, absolute value of -7 is 7. So 4 plus 7 is 11 units. And that's correct. And that's the end of this lesson.